Welcome back to the Pack Chat, our student voice opinion segment. I'm your host, Millie Suarez, joined by co-hosts Austin Makaborski, Molly Pinkerton, and guest Michael Meraki as we discuss this week's most trending topics. Let's jump in. First, the United States is one of many countries with a legal death penalty for standard crimes. Meanwhile, 112 countries have put an end to it legally. When the subject comes around, many people argue this punishment will allow justice and closure loved ones deserve. On the other hand, a main complaint is that the expenses go into execution, while the community question if this punishment really deters crime. So, do you guys think that the death penalty is ever a valid punishment?
Well, I did a research report on this for AP Seminar pretty recently, and it turns out, well, for the most part, no. It's really only reserved for special cases. We only do about 80 in the country per year, and there's thousands of criminals, so it's not very common. And on top of that, if you've done something that can warrant the death penalty, you're probably going to get life without parole, and your life's basically over at that point.
Also,
you're spending all that time in prison.
If I could jump off of that, if you commit a crime worthy of the death penalty, I just don't understand why you would commit, why would you, if someone did something horrible, why would you do another horrible act? That doesn't cancel it out.
I just don't understand what would.
I think a more valid punishment would just be to be locked up for the rest of your life, and I feel like that would deter crime because that person can't do whatever they're doing, and that gives their loved ones justice because you know that they're not getting out anytime soon.
So this has actually been recorded in a couple states where there's no death penalty. So okay, a prisoner will be sentenced to life without parole, but there's no higher punishment than that. And if they're really just bad to the bone, so to speak, they'll just go around shanking other prisoners and guards, and there's just nothing they can really do about it.
I just think it's crazy how the main reason it is because the expenses are too high to do that. To not
I just know it's expensive.
Death penalty. I would say the main con of death penalty is that's just so unnecessary. I think it's just been around for so long, people are just not getting around to not doing that. Okay, next up, codependency can cause issues in some aspects of any relationship. Being able to depend on a partner, mother, friend is harmless, and an article by The Atlantic explores why codependency isn't so bad. In a reflection about the author's own codependent tendencies, they try to pose the argument that we can all be reliant on the needs and company of others. So, is a relationship possible without codependency?
I think a relationship is possible without codependency because I feel like you don't have to rely on someone to do normal relationship.
Yeah, to be your own person.
If you're kind of basing yourself in a relationship, the partner should be the one kind of the wind beneath your wings rather than the one you're trying to always build off of.
Yeah, I think in a relationship you can be dependent on each other, but
you shouldn't depend.
You shouldn't. Everything shouldn't go on to that one person. And what do you think about it?
I feel like you should be able to depend on that person. If it's a good, healthy relationship and you two really know each other and trust each other, you should be able to trust each other to be able to do stuff. But you shouldn't entirely rely on them because that's not healthy.
That can be very unhealthy for both people.
Also goes outside of healthy relationships, though. It's in very unhealthy relationships, I see a lot of codependent people.
Yeah.
And it's it's making it even worse for them to leave the situation that
they're in. Or even friendships, codependent friendships.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've seen friendships.
I've been in friendships where
they rely on you. It's just a bad position.
Yeah, it can be very draining for both parties.
Exactly.
Finally, an ongoing debate about high school is if it is more beneficial to one's future to excel in the academic or athletic side of school. Head basketball coach at Dracula High School in Georgia invited an atmospheric scientist and professor to speak to the student athletes about the importance of the word student in their title, as well as encouraging them to excel in their education as well as they grind on the court. So, should students have the right to choose between athletics and academics?
I think just athletics it's so hard to really make it big in athletics, and just if you focus on your schoolwork and study, you're gonna have a higher success rate of succeeding in that path rather than just based off numbers.
Well, I was a student athlete for my freshman year. I was doing swim and also trying to balance having a really good score in all my classes, and it was really difficult. You're having to wake up early in the morning, practice, you'd get to school and you'd already be exhausted, and you just wouldn't have the energy to go on, and that really affected me while I was in freshman year.
So now that you're not doing sports, you would say focusing on your
academics, even though
it's
taking harder classes in sophomore year, my grades skyrocketed since I'm not tired of them.
I would say it's also up to the person because everyone has their extracurricals, everyone has, and academics isn't for everyone.
I think
it's always
maybe not necessarily sports specifically, but I think athletics in general is just kind of necessary just to have as a part of your life. I think it's good to just have that as introduced early in your life anyways, even though it's not necessarily, it won't make you as successful as maybe academics
just, like,
might.
Yeah.
gives you something.
But it's like if you're
Yeah,
healthy and
academics is going to be
clean
with
and,
you
like-
no matter what, but athletics, I feel like you always need that person to like push you when you're like starting young, so like you can really see if you want to be into that, you know?
Totally. It's just two different ways you can, or both.
Yeah, or both. And you know, I'm sure some people can manage both and be fine and do well. and,
Yeah.
you know. All right, and that's all for today, but remember T-Wolf Pack, there's always time to chat. We'll be right back after this break.